Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back again with another video. This is the last video from the Colorado Craft Company's mini Halloween release, and today we are working with the Grateful Cornucopia. So I'm going to stamp all of these little fruits and gourds and flowers and leaves out, and then we're going to color them. Today we are using still the Olo markers. This is what we used for the previous two videos as well. But today we are going to be talking about how you don't need all the markers, because you don't need all the markers. I mean, I do this for a living and I don't even like Copic markers. I don't even own them all. So we're going to be talking about how you can kind of mix the colors that you do have to stretch them a little bit more. So I am stamping this in Intense Black ink from Hero Arts because it is safe for alcohol markers. And then this was the initial stamping, but I did stamp a bunch more, like more apples and more leaves and things like that. So normally I work with a 4-color blend. A lot of these are going to be 3-color blends. And you're going to see as I'm going through the different ways that I am combining them to get different looks. So for the cornucopia itself, which by the way, this is part of the Big and Bold series. So these are large images, which is great for coloring. They're really, really great for coloring. But I'm going in with my darkest color. I'm adding this to my shadows. So I wanted for sure the cornucopia to look, dimensional, as if you had like these kind of rises and falls that you would normally have when you looked at like the ribbed areas. So I went in and added shadows to that. And then I added shadows to the inside, kind of like rim of the opening. That way the outside would be the lightest, which would help it kind of pop forward. I chose to do mine in Olos are different. Like the names of them are different, if that makes sense. So like they don't... Copics has E's for earth tones. They didn't do that. They have, O's for oranges, OR's for orange reds, Y's for yellow, YO for a yellow orange. So there's no like browns. Do you know what I'm saying? The browns fall in either the oranges or the yellows. So I suppose maybe some of the warm grays could be perceived as browns, but so that is why when I chose my colors, these are all, I think, YOs, so yellow oranges, but they're, just on the darker side or less saturated side. So once I went in and kind of colored up my first layer, because I'm not super familiar with these, it does mean that I have to kind of play around with them a bit to get the color or the dimension that I want. But that's okay because experimenting is how we learn. So this, making this card caused me to learn some new things, which then I know going into my next card using these markers that I've invested in, that I will be able to work with them easier, work with them better, and it will get more comfortable, just like I'm that comfortable with my Copic markers. So these do bleach each other out quite a bit because they're a free flow marker. So I did go back in and add some darkness. For the inside of my cornucopia, I chose much darker darks. So these, now I'm getting into the ORs. I want to call them ORs because that's what it's spelled, but it's ORs. And so you can see these are much, much redder, but because the Olos are free-flowing ink and they do layer on top of each other, I can go back in with, this is now my mid-tone from the cornucopia, the YO, and layer that over it and change kind of the tone of the marker. So that way the darkest looks like, it's receding back into the cornucopia, and the lightest edge up front is where all the light is going to be catching because it's the most open. Now, realistically, are we going to be able to see a lot of this? No, we're not. Once we start putting in all of our fruits and things, you won't be able to see the vast majority of this. But you may use this set to make a different card than what I did, so I wanted to make sure to include the coloring. So I chose some fairly dark violets because this is a fall themed card, and I'm going to use that to color my eggplant as well as my grapes. You definitely could go lighter. I really like the selection of violet colors that Olo offers. But like I said, the darker, richer colors made more sense for this kind of fall card. For the grapes, I'm going to use my darkest color to fill in any of those like background grapes, the ones that are the in between. And that's going to help me create some dimension. So I'm just filling those in, and then I'm going to go in and just add a little bit of darkness to the points where they meet, where one grape is laying on top of the other. Still plenty of white space going on in here. For my mid-tone, I'm going to then complete the circle. So I'm going to start where that darkest color is, and then I'm just going to take that all the way around each grape. That will leave me a nice highlight area on each one that I can go in with my lightest color. The lightest color here does have a tendency toward the more pink side, but I don't mind it. I think it's really kind of nice. And again, because they kind of bleach each other out, it pushes back those darker colors a bit. So you can see you can see each individual grape. It might be hard to see on camera, but in real life, you can see each individual grape. For my pumpkin, if you guys watched the Scarecrow video, you know that with the oranges, when I was doing the Scarecrow pumpkin face, I learned that I had to be a little bit more heavy-handed with my darks because they do bleach out quite a bit. So that is why you see me putting down so much dark here, because I knew I was going to need it for once I added in the other oranges, that how it would kind of make that dark color fade. And again, if it gets too dark and you start to lose, or too light and it starts to you start to lose your dimension, just go back in and add some more dark. So this light orange color, I think it's very pretty, but it does, like I said, kind of bleach out its previous color, its predecessor. So for the actual oranges, I'm using the same colors as I did for the pumpkin, but I don't want them to be exactly the same. So I'm keeping two of the colors and I'm just swapping out the third color for a yellow. And you can see it's still orange, but it's so much brighter because we added in the yellow. So this same yellow, we're going to use with the combination that we used for the cornucopia. We're going to use it for our little sunflower over here. So again, we're reusing the same colors and maybe just swapping out one of the colors to really kind of extend what we have, because there's just not as many options. And that's okay. We don't need them all. So here I'm going to use the same two, the mid-tone and the lightest color that we used for the cornucopia. I'm going to use those to shade in my sunflower, but because a sunflower wood is brighter, we want the cornucopia to read as more of a brown color. We want a sunflower to read as yellow. Going in with that really bright yellow, I think this is a Y2.3, and just going over the entirety of the color, you can see how much it brightens everything up. And all we did was swap out one color. So we've already have two things that we've colored using almost all the same colors, just swapping it out for a yellow. For the apples, I am actually using four colors, which is, I think maybe the only one I did that with, honestly. But it's challenging with the darkest red. So they have a R18, which is a bit more purpley, and then an R5.7, which is also purpley, but the R1.7 isn't quite dark enough. So I just used the R1.8, like I said, a bit more purple, but because we're layering the reds over top of it, it changes that tone. The greens, their yellow greens are relatively bright. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I prefer a bright yellow green. But it does make it a little bit more challenging to get a different look. So I did not, but you could layer a yellow over top of this to make it even brighter. or you can leave out the lightest color, which is the YG 2.3, and use the mid-tone and the darkest color and then actually shade it with its complement, which would be red. So you could add in a bit of a darker red, go over it with your green. For the leaves on the apples, I just used 2 of the colors so they would look just slightly different. And then I have not really tried to blend color families with my Olos, but I wanted there to be some kind of, fall leaves that were changing colors. I had no issues whatsoever blending these. They worked really well. I didn't go in and add any other shading to them. I just let the colors kind of stand as they were. I did try to choose colors that were very similar. So I used a Y 2.3, a YG 2.3, an O 2.4, so they're all kind of together. The only difference was the red, which was a 0.5, but I was kind of hoping that the same would ring true for Copics, that the last number would really help them blend, and so I picked the 5 thinking it would blend in with the 4, and in fact it did. So I really kind of struggled with this card. We're going to do story time a little bit, just a little. So I struggled with this card. My mom, my mother, my wonderful mother, she is not crafty. She's the only thing I've ever actually seen my mom do that has anything to do with arts is she used to do ceramic painting. So she is not the craftiest person. My mom has absolutely no interest in card making or stamping or any of those things. With that said, my mom is by far and away my biggest supporter. She is here. This is actually a cover plate I had from leftover from another card that I did earlier in the week. And so I was just seeing if I would like this. Really love the way the background turned out, but the technique I did to it, I wasn't sure it would dry. So I was like, I can't put this in a video if I don't know if it'll dry. Turns out it did dry. So we may be seeing that later on. Here, we decided that the oranges were a bit too bright, so I just went in with an R 0.4 and just kind of glazed over top of them to knock that color back. And then it fit in a little bit nicer. But anyway, so, I remember back when I first started card making, I was still living at home with my parents. I wasn't even married yet. And my mom came up to my little craft room and was like, what are you doing? And she tried to make a card with me. This was back when I was making cards with my Cricut. I had not even discovered ink blending or anything yet. And she sat down and made a card with me, and you could just totally tell that she was not into it, but she did it anyway so she could spend time with me. And she has never stopped doing that. Even though stamping and creating and card making is totally not her thing, she's only ever been encouraging and supportive. And I know that I'm one of the lucky few who has that. Most people who don't have anybody in their life who card make or create, they don't have anybody who will support them and encourage them in their making. And I'm super blessed because I have a lot of people, but always my mom, always. She watches every single one of my videos. She reads all of the comments. And she's just, always, that was beautiful. You did a great job. I'm so proud of you. Every single post that I post on Facebook, because my Instagram automatically posts to my Facebook, she shares on her Facebook. Do you think anybody ever comments on those posts? No. Does my mother share them every single time one goes up? Absolutely. So, she's just always been so supportive, even if it's not something that she's into. And I am so incredibly grateful for that because it's so rare. And I recognize that to have somebody, even if it's even for some people, a parent who, it doesn't matter what it is that they're into. They're just rallying along the sidelines, just rooting you on every single step of the way. And that is my mama, even though, like I said, she's not crafty at all. So you will see I was struggling with this card. I was trying to come up with what I was going to do. I was kind of struggling with the background. And I think that the warm browns really do set off the fall tones. And so I am happy with the way that it came out. But it was like trying to figure it out did take me a second. And because my mother is fantastic in all ways, she was here helping me with Caitlin because remember at this time, I thought I was getting ready to go out of town. So I was trying to do all of this stuff before I left. And so she was here helping with Caitlin, and she ended up actually putting her to bed for me so I could finish my card making. And when she came in earlier, so at the end of this video, you will get a little, my mom's going to be like, why did you do that? You will get a little sneak peek into my mom, just our little conversation, and her just being super supportive and trying to help me, even though it's totally not her forte. And she isn't at all, she's interested in me as her daughter. Whatever it is that I am doing, she is here for it. So I did do some gold splatters in the background. And then here I'm going in and just coloring the outline. I just feel like it helps it to sit back and for everything to blend together. I could not match the browns exactly, so I just opted to go just kind of for like an all over darker brown. And then this is me going in, putting in some white highlights. You guys know I love the detail work. And then I'm also going to add some shimmer to it as if that gold was not enough. But either way, I still was like super happy with the way that it came out. I think that the fall colors are really beautiful. Today is the last day for free shipping over at Colorado Crafts. If you're interested in purchasing something, get it while you can get the shipping for free. And then this is the final card. So I will leave you guys with this fun conversation from me and my mom. I hope that you enjoy it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I always appreciate your time, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.
Can I?
Yeah. So it looks like it's more forward.
Yeah. Oh my god, I can't even open them.
You're pushing them the wrong way.
Oh. Put that like at the top.
It's all the way
there.
to the top. That's why I hate die cuts.
Yeah, there, Kelly. Then this dark blends in with this dark. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But you don't think these colors are too bright for this background?
Maybe the oranges.
Yeah.
Are
a hair bright.
Yeah, but like this is not, or the purple is not. Take the oranges out and see what you think. There. Now what do you think?
That is better.
Yeah.
That is better.
These oranges, you're more or less kind of tucking them back.
Right.
This was like, hello.
Yeah, they're bright.
I mean, you can even throw this flower in there, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't think the background, it looks bad now with the background.
No, I do think it looks better.
Especially if you leave this brown open.
Yeah. Where is the... It's too peach. Let me try this one. Let's see if I can just...
There you go. That's not in your face.
I'm going to knock it back a little. I just don't want it to be the same color as the pumpkin. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, but that's
so
not...
those are a little peachier.
Yeah, that's not so bright.
And then we can put these